Hi, my name is Anthony Fucciarelli, and today I'll be talking to you about ethical programming dilemmas and certain situations that programmers will find themselves in that there's not really a clear-cut answer today. There's more of like a gray area. The first one that I'll be talking about is log files. Um, and pretty much a log file is going to be data that is logged during any event or like all events that are going on during a person's normal day or like a company's day to day. For example, it could be as simple as an employee that's surfing the web or checking their email or just about anything that you can think of while doing being on a computer. Now, the reason that these log files exist because it helps track any issues that may occur, and it allows like admins or ITs, they can go back, look at the log files, and they're able to, recreate or see where the issue, may have stemmed from. The ethical dilemma here is, what should be saved and what shouldn't be saved. Should companies, should they be able to see every single thing that their employees are doing? Should they be able to track them, going on specific websites? Now, people like managers and stuff, they'll argue, yeah, of course, they're using company property or whatever. But at the same time, certain employees or just employees in general argue that they're not signing anything or they should have a certain amount of privacy, or if they're on break or whatever, companies shouldn't be able to track them. There's an article that was actually written discussing citizen privacy, and reports that over 3/4 of major U.S. corporations collect information on employees by different means: videotaping, monitoring their internet, email use, or even hiring outside investigators. So another ethical dilemma that programmers often face themselves is essentially the content pricing, or how much that they believe, how they're going to price their program that they've created, or how they are even going to make money off the program that they generate. Oftentimes, you have programmers that they'll make their money from, they have customers that will pay them to do something, or stakeholders will often help them out and give them money to create new content. But you have a lot of freelance programmers that are often putting out either content for free or they're creating something just for the public to use for free. However, they're often, just like with anything in the world, they're going to want to make money off it. And a prime example of this would be, Facebook. Facebook is completely free to sign up. You can do whatever you want on Facebook. You don't have to pay any money. However, recently there's a huge scandal with Facebook, data mining and selling off all your information to other other companies, and they're making a huge profit off it. That data is extremely available because, or is extremely valuable because it allows, those companies to target you for market research, or target you for just ads or whatever. And Facebook pretty much did all that without, their customer base knowing. You obviously is, you agree to a certain user agreement and everything, but is that really, should they be allowed to do that? Should they be allowed to sell off all your private information just because you're using the app? That's kind of where the gray area comes in. And the other issue is the paid to play gaming, or the free to play that has in-app purchases, or even just like loot boxes in general for video games. Games like Clash of Clans, they are free to play, but you can do in-app purchases, and that's how the developers and programmers, they make their money is off the in-app purchases. But is that necessarily fair? Is that good to do? Because some people consider that those types of things almost an addiction. It's extremely easy. You just press a button and boom, you're loaded up and you have the edge in video games. There's a dude, he spent about $70,000 in one of the video games that he was playing. And it was just an app for your phone. And then you have many countries in Europe, Norway and Belgium specifically, they have decided that loot crates, which are little crates that you open up in games like Call of Duty, and it'll give you a rare skin or whatever. Um, they've made those illegal, and they consider them gambling. And a lot of the games, they've had to take them out in those countries. So that's another situation. Another ethical dilemma that developers will find themselves is how much protection should be used for a program, especially if that program is free and it's just something that is essentially just being developed. Like Facebook's completely free, for example. I know that I've used that before, but use it again. It's completely free, but there's no standard on how much protection that they should have. They have a decent amount of protection, obviously, because if that gets broken, they're going to lose their customer base. But um, there really isn't anything that mandates what they need to be used. And the biggest thing with that is more protection often means more time and money from a programming aspect, and that's something that they're going to have to cover, especially if it's free. They're going to have to make money somehow, making sure that it's completely covered. Uh, and also, programmers, they may skimp because if they're developing something and they're going to push it out, there might be another person, a third party app that's supposedly in theory going to cover another end, and that's kind of an issue right there. And also more security often, it's going to cause performance issues and slow down an app. And if an app's running super slow and is extremely secure, customers may not see that, and they might go to another app that's a little bit faster but a little bit less secure. Another ethical dilemma that there are often programs are going to face is how much quality should technically be implemented in the code. Should the code be good enough just to where it the program runs, or should they just spend decades building a program that's just completely airtight? Unfortunately, I mean, most programmers, when they develop, there's always going to be an issue here or there, and it's kind of expected, but the other thing is how developers decide to fix that code once it's been implemented, or once it's pushed out there in final product. And that's another ethical thing that goes deeper into this subject, is how in what order are the programmers fixing these bugs. I mean, obviously they're going to fix a program breaking bug off the rip, but let's go back to the paid to play versus just the free to play. Free to play and paid to play are experiencing a little bit different bugs. They're not game breaking, but they each side has their own issues. Most likely, the programmers are going to spend more time fixing, the paid to play, because that's where their money is becoming generated, and that often leaves the free to play people out to out to dry. And is that necessarily the right way to handle it? I don't know. It's a business. And then the other thing is just leaving bugs in general, like Assassin's Creed 2. They have a huge animation bug, but they couldn't figure out how to fix it, and it wasn't game breaking, and the customer base didn't even notice, so they ended up leaving it. Now, is that right? Is that wrong? Once again, I don't know. I don't have the answer for it. These last two sides, they kind of go hand in hand, I guess you could say, just because uh, they involve industry and the customers. You have the self-driving cars. The issue with it is a crosswalk scenario. Programmers essentially are going to decide, once these things are perfected, is who lives or who dies. If you have a child that jumps out in front of a self-driving car at the last second, and the car is full of people, is that computer going to detect whether that car should drive off into a ravine and the people in the car die, or should it hit the child that jumped in front of it? I mean, it's an extremely morbid situation, but that's unfortunately that's something that needs to be decided. And you have countries like Germany that have decided that it's all about human life, whatever's going to save the most human life. So essentially, that child would die in that situation. And then you have companies that are expected to break their own encryption to aid law enforcement. On one hand, companies would be breaking, their encryption to help law enforcement, that might prevent situations from like an attack, a terrorist attack happening, but at the same time developing these programs that can break, the encryptions, or hack into phones or whatever. It'll take away from security aspect, because what if that software falls into the wrong hands, and gets public, then nobody's phone is safe, and that company isn't going to have a leg to stand on, because I know that even like myself personally, if my phone's not secure, I'm going to go somewhere completely different. But yeah, those are certain dilemmas that programmers face, and I hope you enjoyed my presentation. Thank you.